Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mings, and it is once again time for a RIP Advanced Wars Championship Showcase match. A little while back, I asked you guys if you wanted me to follow RIP, one of the best Fog players in the world at the moment, on his journey throughout the Advanced Wars Smacky Cup, which is a site-wide Fog tournament. And a lot of you guys really liked that idea, and here we are in round 4. These are the semifinals, and this is where you're going to start to run into some very scary opponents. And today, RIP is facing an absolute titan in random ways. This guy burst onto the site not too long ago, and he has been steadily climbing the ladder, and he is a terrifying opponent. If we go check out his league page, we can actually see that he achieved a max rating of 1550, which is pretty high. But even among this rating, I think he is actually a lot stronger than people think. I watched some of his games, and he's kind of like Toulouse in that, yes, he is 1400, but he plays on a much higher level. So today we're playing on everyone's favorite map, Chosen Reservoir. Yeah, we all only Chosen Reservoir lovers in chat now, right? Yeah, a couple haters on the back line there. Chosen Reservoir is a good map. I like it. The more I play on it, the more I like it. I understand it has some haters, but I personally love it. It's a massive map. And considering how massive the map is, you would think that it would just be an Olaf mirror. But actually, we have a very unorthodox matchup today in Olaf versus Von Bolt. Von Bolt was recently made a tier 2 CO on large Fog maps, which is why he's available here, even though it's a tier 2 matchup. So this is an interesting matchup, and one that is a lot tougher for the Olaf player than you might think, because Olaf does not have any day-to-day firepower increases at all, which means that defense is incredibly hard to overcome. So even though global damage is ridiculously strong, Von Bolt's units are just so much stronger than Olaf's units that on a day-to-day basis, you will get crushed in the early goings of this game, and it is kind of up to the Olaf player to kind of stall it out and just make it go on for as long as possible, whereas Von Bolt wants to end the match early. He ideally wants to end it before a single superpower gets thrown off, which is why it's a very dynamic matchup. It's a stally CO versus an aggressive CO. Those are the matchup that I really like to see, because it means that one player will be pushing constantly and the other will be defending, and then you kind of like, will they break or will they survive kind of thing. I really like this dynamic. I think it's a great matchup. So yeah, two incredibly strong players on one massive map in the semifinals of the Smacky Cup. Can it get any better? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we need a particularly long introduction for this one. I say we just get going with another song. There you go. With some Golden Sun music playing today. Hope you guys don't mind. I know you guys love some Golden Sun. So, yeah. We have RIP in his trademark brown desert pants down in the bottom left corner. And we got Random Ways playing as the Black Hole troops up in the top right. Now, Chosen. Very big map. A very long capture phase. Some players actually like to go for the airports first, but I think on Advanced Wars by Web, the base is the right choice. When you play this map on Days of Ruin, you actually want to go for the airport first, because you don't actually have the economy to produce infantry in all bases, because they're more expensive. Something I found out very recently, a bit of a funny trivia for you guys. So you want to get the airport quickly, though. I have seen people go airport first on Chosen on Advanced Wars by Web 2. It happens. It's not very normal, but it does happen. But getting out that T-copter early is very valuable, because of course you have these 3 little islands right here, which you want to get at some point. I mean, they're kind of important. Check the match rules right here. We can see that it's a pretty long timer on this tournament, and we have a capture limit of 38. I don't know if you can actually see this. I think I'm actually blocking it. I'm sorry. As you can see, unit limit of 65. I think I can actually scroll down like this. Yeah, I can. So, stealth fighters are not banned. I'd like to point that out. Chosen Reservoir, very famous for allowing stealths, because it's such a huge map. So you definitely need like APCs to make them work. Just be aware that when you play on Chosen, you can... Sorry, I knocked over something. Professional YouTuber right here. You can run into stealth fighters on Chosen, so you need to be aware of that. But, let's see if RIP opens his trademark T-copter. That is what he tends to do after all. So as day 6 rolls in right here, both players just moving out. And yes, indeed, we see the trademark battle or T-Copter, and Rip also opens a recon. But we can see that Random Ways is making his way out with an early recon, and this is actually going to be terrifying because, as you can see, Rip will build a tank in the next few turns, but the question is, will he send it south or will he send it north? And what Random Ways is actually doing here is he is going for the Com Tower. And going for the Com Tower when you are the Von Bolt player versus the Olaf player is actually a very good strategy, because without the extra firepower, it is ridiculously hard to fight back against Von Bolt units. So Random Ways also follows it up with a tank, and I don't think he's going T-Copter. No, he's not. He's actually going super aggressive. Now, of course, Rip, one of the things that has made him famous is the fact that he goes openers that, like, no one else does. He goes T-Copter, sometimes T-Copter APC, artillery openers, which is almost unheard of. Most people tend to rush out tanks and recons to apply pressure, but Rip goes these weird openers that shouldn't work, and yet he makes them work, which is what has made him such a popular player. I mean, he is literally the best Fog player in the world at the moment. So, but Rip opens up a tank, and he can go either north or south with it. He doesn't know if there's a recon coming here or here. He probably knows there is a recon on the way, but he doesn't know where Random Ways is sending it. So he has to make a choice here. Does he send it here or does he send it here? And Random Ways is not coming in with a tank. This is a hyper aggressive opener. The fact that Rip has a T-Copter right now means that he's going to be facing a very, very scary opener, especially considering he's up against Von Bolt, who has improved attack and defense. So this recon is now moving forward. It sees an infantry. I'm actually kind of surprised Random Ways didn't move more towards the Com Tower, but I guess he wants to see what's here. And now Random Ways is building a T-Copter. It's a much later T-Copter than the one Rip built. And Rip is also moving his recon out on the south, so he might also be trying to go for a Com Tower denial, we'll see. And actually goes for the harbor base here first. Probably good to just get that one out of the way quickly. And he has 2 tanks, but they're still woefully unprepared to deal with this recon right here, although this infantry is protected by the woods, so the recon can't pick that one off quite yet. Day 8 rolls in. And let's see what Random Ways does to apply pressure right now. Tank is rolling out. The recon is now dead set on denying the Com Tower, which Rip has not captured yet. Nice little transport boosties right here. A second recon and a second tank, so Random Ways is just gonna apply the pressure hardcore at this point during the match. He is not playing around. He knows that he has to beat Rip early if he wants to secure a win in this match. If he lets it go to like day 20, then it's going to be very hard to deal with the constant global damage that's going to be coming out. But this is a really, really bad situation for Rip right here, because he has both of his tanks in the south, and Random Ways now has a recon poised to interrupt this, and a tank that's coming in. So Rip is not going to get this Com Tower, ladies and gentlemen, and that is bad news. And he builds an artillery, which is such a bold move in a Fog match. Artillery typically not used that much in Fog, especially not on a huge map like Chosen. I'm not saying they're never used per se, it's just that they're hard to use. They take forever to reach their target. You really have to know your positioning, which of course Rip does. High skill level players are able to utilize artillery well in Fog, but it is a risky play against someone who's gonna go hyper aggressive. To use an analogy with StarCraft 2, it's kind of like going siege tanks against someone who is 6-pulling you, you know? Like, yeah, the siege tanks are amazing if you get them into position, but if your opponent is rushing Zerglings, they might just overrun your base before you can get enough siege tanks out. So very much the same with artillery. If you can get the artillery into position, you're in a very good spot, but if your opponent just bomb rushes you before the artillery can get into position, you will just lose the match before the artillery can do anything. So very high risk, high reward unit. I'm not saying it's a wrong move to make it in Chosen, I'm just saying it's a ballsy move. And here you can see right here, yeah, this is bad. Random Ways could reinforce an infantry into the Com Tower, but there's a tank on the way. So that's not going to work. This Com Tower is now locked down. There is no way Rip is going to get it. Both of his tanks are out of position. He has a recon, but the recon ain't going to do anything to the tank. So this is a terrible situation for Rip right now. I'm going to show you some calcs later, just to show how hard it is for Olaf to fight von Bolt without Com Towers. It is bad. It is really bad. Random Ways now getting a Battlecopter out. He's going to apply even more pressure on this Com Tower side right here. Meanwhile, Rip has both of his tanks. I'm expecting him to probably move them north. The Recon moves north right now. The T-Copter moves north as well. And yeah, Rip is indeed shifting his tanks north now because he needs to ward away this Recon. But there is a massive problem here in that Random Ways already has a tank in position to deal with this. Another tank comes out of Rip, and he has to pull back. Like, there's no point in reinforcing. He probably knows there's probably a tank here. He could join cap, but it wouldn't help. He would just lose an extra infantry doing so. So with the Com Tower denied, this is now a massive uphill battle for Rip. This is going to be requiring some absolutely sick plays to overcome. Random Ways now moving in, and those von Bolt infantrymen, they are so incredibly tough to deal with, especially when they're on top of properties. And now Random Ways is probably seeing that, okay, no tank popped out this turn to attack my Recon. That's probably why he had the tank in waiting. He was going to bait out a tank and then attack the tank. But he sees that no tank showed up, so he's like, maybe there's no tanks here. I'm just going to go harass infantry now. And one of the scary parts about von Bolt, especially once he has a Com Tower, is that his Recons now push enemy infantry down to 4 HP, which means that it's very hard for them to cap properties. And boom. This is classic von Bolt city sitting right here. Just von Bolt putting his units on properties where they are practically impossible to dislodge. Just to give you an example of just how impossible it is for Olaf to win this. Sorry, we gotta do it the other way around. Look at this right here. You try to attack this tank, you will take more damage than you deal. That is just plain nasty. And let me show you something even more horrid. You don't one-shot infantry on planes. You do not two-shot infantry on planes anymore. Not reliably. Which is just terrible. Even if you attack tanks into tanks on planes. Just look how important it is for Olaf to have that Com Tower versus von Bolt. Because 44 to 51, that is not a guaranteed 2 KO, I'm pretty sure. But if you do 1, then it becomes a guaranteed 2-hit KO. So, very bad situation for Rip right here. This Com Tower is going to be practically impossible for him to get. Now there's a Battlecopter on the way, and no anti-air out of Rip yet. We're in day 10. D just taught me that a good rule of thumb, especially on large maps like Chosen and Stalingrad, usually you want to have your anti-air out on day 9, maybe day 10. But anything after day 10 is going to be very, very tricky. You can see Random Ways is already building his anti-air on day 10 right here. Because he's expecting some kind of Battlecopter out of Rip. And Rip is now moving his tanks in, but as long as this tank is right here, he'll need at least 2 tanks to deal with it. And 2 tanks won't even one-shot it. Like, if he attacks this tank right here, he's going to get it down to 7. And then the other tank is probably going to get it down to 2. So even with extra infantry attacks, it's probably still not going to die. So that Com Tower is incredibly viable. It's essential. And now Rip is going to take a bit of a chance here. He knows he's behind, so he's going to try and poke here with the Recon. But of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a tank perfectly in place to deal with this Recon. And since it's a von Bolt plus 20% tank, it's going to one-shot the Recon as well. So, just disaster after disaster for Rip right here. He finally builds a Battlecopter, which he probably should have built last turn, honestly, instead of the artillery. If he had a Battlecopter right here now, he could drive away the tank, no problem. But Rip seems to have absolutely no response to this opener from Random Ways right here. And in comes the tank. The Recon gets one shot. And now Random Ways is probably feeling pretty damn good, and he's gonna march on with these soldiers right here. Battlecopter, more pressure. He's pressuring on both sides now. And he can do that because of his passive firepower and defense boost. People don't I feel like many new players don't understand how insane it is to have a 10% attack and defense boost over your opponent in competitive Advanced Wars. It is ridiculous. It's almost like you're playing with cheat codes in the early goings of the game. Until that global damage comes into Equalize, this bonus basically means you can bully your opponent and do almost whatever you want. Now, Random Waste is of course pulling back, because there might be a Battlecopter here at this point. But he's sure as hell not going to let Rip have this Com Tower. He has so many units in range to interrupt here. Day 12 rolls in. And you can see Rip is being very careful. He knows there's a lot of units out of his sight right here. And he knows that any units he sends up here to the Com Tower are just going to get picked off. And he's moving his artillery forward. But as day 12 rolls in right here, Random Waste is smelling blood in the water. And he is just kind of constricting around him like a snake. In comes the tank. And Rip's entire south side is crumbling right now. This artillery is on its own, no tank support. There's a tank back here, but this is a slaughter. And Random Waste is he's just kind of sitting there, waiting for Rip to advance forward to that Com Tower, at which point he will just shellac him. And you can see right now, he's holding all the cards. And knowing this, Rip resigns. Ouch! Ouch! That was brutal. Don't think I've quite seen Rip manhandled in this way before. I don't know if he just had a bad day or if he just got completely outplayed. But this was impressive from Random Waste right here. I don't think I've ever seen anyone bully Rip like this. Like, he just, everything that could go wrong for Rip went wrong in this particular matchup, I feel. He just got absolutely choked out. Like, Random Waste denied the Com Tower, pounced on him in the south, killed his recon. Like, I spoke to a few Grandmasters upon seeing this resign, and I asked them, like, hey, was this a premature resign? And all of them were like, no, dude, like, Rip is cooked. He is cooked. There's no way you're going to come back from this opener right here. There's no way. Like, he can't do anything to Von Bolt's walls because his firepower isn't good enough. He's never getting this Com Tower. His south front is collapsing. It's completely over. It's completely over. So when I saw this match, I almost couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, this is Rip we're talking about here. This is a guy who has just crushed every single opponent in his wake. And to see him get crushed in such a way, it was very unexpected to me. But I guess, I mean, even champions have their bad matches, right? I mean, no one can win 100% of the time. But well played to Random Waste. I mean, this definitely is going to put him on the map, I think. And a lot of people are going to be very interested in his matches moving on from now. If we go over to the tournament, we can now see that Random Waste is actually going to go to the finale. And he's going to face the winner between Izanagi and Go7. No shade to Izanagi, but I'm pretty sure Go7's going to win this, especially considering it's the same matchup. And so we're probably going to see Random Waste versus Go7 in the finale, which is going to be a hell of a match. I'm already following. But yeah, didn't expect Rip to get knocked out in the 4th round. I thought he would make it to the finale at least. If he was going to lose, I thought he was going to lose to Go7, personally. But yeah, I mean, man, the game can swing any which way, I guess. No one is unbeatable in competitive Advanced Wars. There's always upsets. I don't know if we should call this an upset. Maybe it's just a really rough matchup for Olaf. I mean, watching Von Bolt's units just go to town on Olaf was kind of rough to see. Maybe just isn't a good matchup. But I mean, I've seen Olaf beat Von Bolt plenty of times before, so I know it's not like it's an auto win, but I think honestly Random Waste just had a very good game plan right here, going for the Com Tower. And he just knows exactly the limits of his strength and how he can bully his opponent. Rip is just forced into unwinnable scenarios on both sides right here. So yeah, I guess Rip's tournament journey is over. But knowing Rip, He'll come back, and he'll be stronger than ever. Every champion have their bad day, but they'll always bounce back. That's what makes them champions, after all. I'm looking forward to casting more Rip games in the future. And let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this map. Do you think... When do you think Rip lost this game? Was it... Personally, I might think it happened when he didn't send his tanks north to guard the com tower. But there might have been other plays as well that I missed. So I would appreciate in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this matchup. Was there anything Rip could have done differently? And what do you think about the Von Bolt Olaf matchup personally? Do you think it is tilted in favor of Von Bolt? Love to hear more. And I'll see you guys next time. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye.